So I stayed there in the county, man, 8 months. Now, I'm going to add that the state of Mississippi sent me to prison every time I've been there. Never once have they offered me drug treatment. Not ever. We've tried to get myself into treatment before, and they always sent me to the worst prisons in Mississippi. Well, this time I was there 8 months, and I began writing my life on paper. Somebody told me I should write my life story. So I started doing that. I ended up writing like 1,400 pages, handwritten pages of my life story. I'm at present day with it right now. I got it all on a hard drive with table of contents and all this stuff. I hadn't had time to move forward with it because I'm so busy. But the more that I wrote on that paper while I was in the county jail, the more plainly I could see this life that I was living, right? And I could see there's a few big truths that showed themselves to me. The first one, I already touched on it, was that God has always had my back. Like, it was in black and white, plain as day. No matter what situation I've been in my life, I always come out of it. God has always had my back. You know, I was always one of them people that, because I believed, so what I would always do is prayers of desperation. You know what I mean? I didn't live right. I didn't have a relationship with God where I was always praying and talking to God and trying to do the right thing. Instead, I just live my life, and then when I get locked up, oh Lord, dear Lord, please don't let me get 10 years. Or, dear Lord, you know, that's prayers of desperation. That was really the only relationship I had with God. Well, when I started writing all my stuff down on paper, I realized, even having said that, that was really the only relationship I had with God, He has never forsaken me. He has never turned His back on me, and He was always there. He kept me alive in prison. He kept me alive when I was doing shots of drugs in my vein that you would think will kill people. He kept me alive. He's been there with me all. So that showed truth. Another one was the fact that all my life, I used my upbringing as a crutch, right? So all my life, if somebody would ask me, you know, matter of fact, I've been clean now 13 years, so probably 15 years ago, my buddy David, he passed away from a drug overdose a few years ago. He asked me, he said, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I remember plain as day, I told him, I'm gonna be a junkie. What do you mean? There ain't nothing, this is it for me. We just laughed it off, but I was dead serious. You know what I mean? I didn't see any other life for me except putting needles in my arm. And God kept me alive through all that, man. You know what I mean? But I also realized that I could not use my upbringing as a crutch to do the stuff that I was doing. That was not a crutch, it was an excuse. You know, at some point in time in my life, you know, for a while I could blame my upbringing, but once I reached a certain age, it was up to me to start making the right decisions. Then it was all on me. It wasn't on my mama, it wasn't on my daddy, it wasn't on my uncles, it was on Benny. Benny to do this, to grow up, be a man, handle this, do this, do this. And I realized that, and it was like a light bulb went off. You know, I still never thought that I would really amount to much, but I was ready to give it a try. So I stayed in the county 8 months, had an attorney come and see me, and I was trying to get me into rehab, and then all of a sudden, about a few months before I left that jail, I get called to the investigator's office. And he calls me there, and he calls girl number one there. He calls us there together. And when we get there, he says, he don't say nothing to me. He says, Benny, you just sit right there and listen. And he looks at her, he says, baby girl, let me tell you something. He said, I got everything from that day. He said, I got all the wiretaps, the phone tap. I got all the phone tap conversations between you and her. Didn't have nothing on Benny there. He said, I got your wiretaps from whenever you got there to the house and went inside with her. He said, nothing on Benny there. He said, I got the fake dope that you sold as real dope, thinking it would be, thinking you getting away with something. And he pulls out this folder and it sits it on the desk that said, sales of a counterfeit substance. He said, that's a felony too. He said, so I'm gonna tell you like this. He said, Benny Ivey is a big fish in the sea and I gotta throw him back. He literally said that right in front of me. He said, but you're going to have to fess up to this charge and take your bid. He said, I can get you a trustee in this county jail right now for about a year and then get you on probation afterwards. She said, let me go to my cell and think about it. And she bonded out the next morning. So I sat there 3 more months. But what that told me was, so he didn't let me out right then because they got to get a conviction. You know, it don't matter if I was innocent or not. I wasn't innocent. I just wasn't guilty of that charge. See what I'm saying? So I sat there another 3 months, and I got my lawyer, you know, but then I'm not worried no more about this charge because the lead investigating officer just said that I didn't do nothing. So I told my lawyer, I said, get in touch with this police. His name was Brett McAlpin. He was the golden boy narcotics officer back then. I actually got his number in my cell phone now. Crazy, ain't it, man? So my lawyer contacted him, and he told my lawyer, yeah, we'll let him go to rehab. If he graduates rehab, we'll drop this charge. So January 2011, they moved me for the first time ever from Rankin County Jail to a common bond drug treatment center over here in South Jackson. And I consider that the first day of my life.